Some doors exhaust you long before they ever open, and that exhaustion has been trying to tell you the truth. You feel it, don't you? The heaviness, the strange loneliness of standing in front of something you wanted so badly, something you prayed for, worked for, waited for, and still it will not move. You keep knocking, you keep proving, you keep adjusting yourself, thinking maybe the next version of you will finally be enough to enter. And after a while, the pain is no longer just about the door. It becomes about your worth. It becomes about what the silence must mean about you. That is where so many people quietly break their own hearts. Because when something does not open, the mind often makes it personal. You think, maybe I am too late. Maybe I missed my moment. Maybe I should try harder. Maybe if I become more agreeable, more patient, more useful, more impressive, then the thing that keeps resisting me will finally welcome me in. So you push, you rehearse, you overthink, you return to the same closed space with new hope and old bruises, and you call it loyalty, you call it faith, you call it determination. But stay with me here. Not every closed door is a punishment. Not every delay is a test of how much discomfort you can tolerate. Not every struggle is noble just because it hurts. Sometimes the pain you feel is not the price of your breakthrough. Sometimes it is the signal that you are trying to force your way into a chapter that cannot hold the person you are becoming. That is a difficult truth, because forcing feels active. Forcing gives you something to do with your fear. It lets you believe you are not helpless. It lets you feel for a moment that you still have influence over the outcome. And that is why so many tender, intelligent, loving people stay longer than they should in situations that only answer them with resistance. They are not weak. They are frightened of what it means to stop. Stopping can feel like failure when you were taught that effort fixes everything. Stopping can feel dangerous when you have survived by anticipating, adapting, and earning your place. Stopping can feel empty when your heart has attached meaning to a particular outcome. So let me say something clearly. You are not failing because a door stays closed. You may simply be standing before something that was never meant to be opened by force. And more than that, you may be standing there so long that you cannot yet see the other openings already appearing behind you, beside you, within you. The great paradox is this. The moment you stop trying to make the wrong thing receive you, you begin to recover the energy needed to recognize what actually can. That is where relief begins, not in instant answers, not in magical certainty. Relief begins when you stop interpreting resistance as a command to abandon yourself. So this is not a message about giving up on life. It is a message about giving up on force. It is about learning the difference between devotion and depletion. It is about recognizing that peace has information, and so does strain. It is about trusting that what is for you may still require courage, patience, and action, but it will not require you to betray your own nervous system just to stay at the threshold. And once you understand that, something inside you softens. You stop asking, "Why will this not open for me?" And you begin asking, "Why am I begging to enter where I am not being met?" That question changes everything. Most people do not force closed doors because they enjoy suffering. They do it because the human mind hates uncertainty. Psychologists have long observed that when outcomes feel unpredictable, people often reach for control, even symbolic control, because doing something feels safer than sitting with the unknown. You replay conversations, you send one more message, you revisit the same opportunity. You tell yourself you are being persistent, when really you are trying to quiet the panic that rises when you do not know what happens next. There is also the weight of investment. The more time, emotion, hope, and identity you have poured into something, the harder it becomes to step back. Behavioral researchers often describe this as the sunk cost effect. In plain language, it means you keep going because you have already given so much, even when continuing is hurting you. You do not want the effort to mean nothing. You do not want to face the grief of admitting that all your trying did not create mutuality, so you double down. You call it one last attempt, then another, and underneath all of that is something even more tender. Many people learned very early that love must be earned through adjustment, approval must be earned through performance, safety must be earned through anticipation. So when a door closes, an old part of you does not simply see a closed door, it sees a familiar challenge. It thinks, I know this feeling. I must become better, quieter, prettier, smarter, easier, stronger, more useful. Then maybe I will be chosen. That old pattern can follow you into every corner of life, into relationships where you are always proving, into work where you are always overextending, into friendships where you carry the emotional labor, into dreams that once felt beautiful and now feel like constant self-erasure. The surface changes, but the inner script stays the same. If it is hard, perhaps I must try harder. If it is not returning my energy, perhaps I have not given enough. Now I know what you might be thinking. But shouldn't I be persistent? Doesn't growth require effort? Don't good things sometimes take time? Yes, of course, some doors open slowly, some worthwhile things ask for patience, practice, repair, and humility. But there is a difference between effort and force. Effort respects reality. Force argues with it. Effort says, I will show up honestly and consistently. Force says, I will push until something gives, even if the thing giving is me. That difference matters more than most people realize. Because your body often knows the truth before your mind accepts it. Chronic tension, dread, compulsive checking, emotional bargaining, the need to rehearse, the inability to rest, the constant feeling that one wrong move will ruin everything. These are not always signs of destiny. Sometimes they are signs that your system is living in negotiation with something that does not feel safe, mutual, or open. Widely recognized research on stress and emotional regulation has shown that when the nervous system is overloaded, perception narrows. You become less able to see options and more likely to fixate on the thing that feels urgent. That is why a closed door can start to look like the only door. Stress makes the tunnel feel like the whole landscape. Spiritually, many traditions teach a similar lesson in gentler language. They remind you that resistance can be information. Not every no is rejection. Not every ending is a curse. Sometimes what falls away is making room. Sometimes what refuses to hold you is revealing its limits. Sometimes your suffering comes from insisting that a misaligned place confirm your value. And the moment you stop asking it to do that, your value begins to feel less negotiable. Let me put this simply. A door that is meant to open may still take time, but it will not demand your self-abandonment as the entry fee. A person, place, path, or opportunity that belongs in your life may challenge you, stretch you, humble you, even confuse you at moments, but it will not keep requiring you to shrink, chase, and fracture just to remain in relationship with it. The confusion becomes costly when you confuse adrenaline with alignment. Many people do. Intensity can feel important. Uncertainty can feel romantic. Emotional whiplash can feel like passion. But calm clarity has a wisdom that chaos does not. And here is what most people miss. You do not need absolute certainty to stop forcing. You only need enough honesty to notice the cost. That is where the framework for this begins, not in grand declarations, not in dramatic exits, in honesty. I call it the soft door practice. 3 simple steps: pause, sense, choose. Pause means you stop pushing long enough to hear yourself again. You interrupt the automatic reaching, proving, fixing, and chasing. You do not do this to punish yourself. You do it to create space between your fear and your next move. A pause is not passivity. It is how you stop letting panic make decisions in your name. Sense means you get honest about what this door feels like in your body, your mind, and your spirit. Not what you hope it means, not what you can rationalize, what it actually feels like. Do you feel grounded or frantic, respected or managed, clear or perpetually confused, expanded or reduced? Sense is where fantasy loosens its grip and reality gets a voice. Choose means you respond from truth instead of compulsion. You decide what kind of energy you will no longer spend. You decide whether to step back, stop chasing, ask a cleaner question, create a boundary, or turn your attention toward what meets you with more honesty. Choose is not about punishing the door. It is about protecting your life force. That is the whole practice. Pause, sense, choose. Simple does not mean shallow. Simple means kind enough to use when you are tired. And you may be tired. So let's make this very practical. The first experiment is this. When you feel the urge to force an answer, pause before taking action, not forever, just for a moment. If you want to send the extra message, refresh the page again, rehearse the speech again, check for signs again, stop for 60 seconds, put both feet on the floor, unclench your jaw, let your shoulders drop, take one slower breath than your body wants to take. Then ask yourself, what am I hoping this next action will relieve? Often the truthful answer is not I am taking wise action. It is, I am trying to escape uncertainty. That honesty matters, because once you see that, you can decide more clearly. The second experiment is to sense the cost, not just the desire. This is where many people avoid the truth. They stay focused on what they want from the door, not what standing there is doing to them. So write it down. No poetry required, just plain truth. How much energy does this take from you? How often does it leave you confused? What version of yourself do you become around it? Do you feel calm, dignified, and clear, or hypervigilant, self-questioning, and small? Do you keep abandoning your own rhythms to manage the possibility of losing it? Notice the pattern without shaming yourself. The point is not to prove you were foolish. The point is to make the cost visible. The third experiment is to choose one small act of non-forcing. Small is important. Do not make this a dramatic identity performance. You do not need to post a manifesto, shave your head, move to a mountain, and become a candle. Although, to be fair, some people do look amazing with a dramatic healing montage, but you do not need that. You need one honest act. Maybe you do not send the extra message. Maybe you stop over-explaining. Maybe you decline the invitation to prove yourself again. Maybe you stop checking for crumbs and turn your phone face down for an hour. Maybe you say, I need mutuality, and then let the silence answer. Maybe you redirect your energy towards sleep, nourishment, a walk, a conversation that actually settles your heart, or the task that has been waiting for your attention while you were busy worshiping a locked gate. That is what non-forcing can look like, very ordinary, very brave. Try this in relationships first, because that is where many people recognize the pattern most quickly. If someone keeps sending mixed signals, pause before interpreting them in the most flattering possible way. Sense what the connection actually feels like in your body. Are you at ease or always trying to decode? Are you able to be yourself or always curating your worth? Then choose one act that honors clarity. You might ask a direct question. You might stop volunteering extra effort to maintain something one-sided. You might let their level of investment be the truth you finally believe. Try it in work. If you are constantly contorting yourself to be acceptable in a role, pause before calling that ambition. Sense whether the environment challenges you in a healthy way or slowly drains your spirit. Then choose a non-forcing action. Update the resume. Ask for clearer expectations. Stop over-delivering where basic respect is absent. Explore possibilities instead of clutching one miserable position as if it were the last chance the universe will ever hand you. For many people, the return of imagination is one of the first signs that they have stopped forcing. Try it with your own inner life. Sometimes the closed door is not another person or place. Sometimes it is the version of you that no longer fits. You keep trying to perform an old identity because it once kept you safe. Pause when you notice yourself defaulting to over-functioning, pleasing, or perfection. Sense what that role costs you now, then choose one small departure from it. Speak more plainly. Rest without earning it first. Say no without writing a novel to explain it. Let yourself be seen in a more honest shape. And please notice how gentle this is meant to be. This is not about becoming cold. It is not about pretending you never cared. It is not about making detachment into a personality. You are allowed to care deeply. You are allowed to grieve what you wanted. You are allowed to feel disappointed that the door you loved is not the door that opens. The practice is not meant to harden you. It is meant to return you to yourself while you feel what you feel. Because here is another truth that deserves more air. Many people are not just attached to the door, they are attached to the meaning they assigned it. If this works, then I am lovable. If this happens, then I did not waste my time. If this person chooses me, then I am enough. If this opportunity opens, then all the struggle makes sense. So when the door remains closed, it feels like the collapse of a whole internal story. That is why letting go can feel bigger than the situation itself. You are not just releasing an outcome. You are mourning an identity, a fantasy, a future, a proof. No wonder it hurts. But pain is not always a sign that you are meant to continue. Sometimes pain is simply grief, and grief is holy without being a roadmap. You can honor your sadness without using it as evidence that you must keep knocking. You can miss what you wanted and still admit that it is costing you too much to stay in pursuit. Those two things can sit together, love and release, disappointment and dignity, grief and movement. Now let me bring this even closer. What does a door designed to close often feel like? It feels like constant ambiguity. It feels like having to perform for basic consideration. It feels like your body going tight before every interaction. It feels like waiting for permission to relax. It feels like one small moment of hope followed by a long stretch of confusion. It feels like being emotionally parked in a place that never becomes home. And what does a healthier opening often feel like? Not always easy, not always instant, but cleaner, more reciprocal, less dramatic in the nervous system. There is room to breathe, room to tell the truth, room to remain yourself. You are not in a permanent audition. You are in relationship with something that can actually meet you. That contrast matters. Tension is loud. So many people mistake it for significance. But steadiness has a quieter intelligence. This is where your permission begins to arrive. You do not have to keep proving your devotion to what does not know how to hold you. You do not have to keep translating silence into potential. You do not have to keep calling anxiety a sign. You do not have to keep bargaining with your worth at the threshold of someone else's indecision, an institution's indifference, a dream's expired shape, or an old identity's shrinking walls. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to stop before you are completely broken. You are allowed to stop before you become cynical. You are allowed to stop even if part of you still loves the idea of what could have been. You are allowed to stop even if other people think you should just try harder. You are allowed to stop even if you do not yet know where the better door is. That last part is the one people resist the most. They want a guarantee before they release the old thing. They want the new door already visible, already open, already decorated with clear signs saying, "See, this was the right decision." But life does not always comfort you that way. Sometimes the first gift of release is not a replacement. Sometimes the first gift is simply the end of internal war. And that matters more than you think. Because when you are no longer spending your energy forcing, several quiet miracles become possible. You sleep, you hear yourself, you laugh again without it being a defense. You notice beauty that had nothing to do with the closed door. You recover curiosity. You start making choices from self-respect instead of panic. And with that shift, what becomes possible begins to change. Not because you mastered some magical formula, because you are finally available for a different kind of life. Let me be especially clear here, sweetheart. There is nothing noble about staying in front of a locked door until you forget your own name. There is nothing spiritually advanced about begging for a welcome that never comes. There is nothing strong about calling self-erasure commitment. You do not need to make yourself smaller to fit through what is too small for your becoming. You do not need to keep bleeding just to prove you can endure. You do not need to earn peace by suffering longer. You have permission to put down the battering ram. You have permission to stop turning your tenderness into unpaid labor. You have permission to leave the interview that never ends, the conversation that never clarifies, the pattern that only survives because you keep supplying all the life in it. You have permission to disappoint the version of you that thought endurance was the same as love. You have permission to choose rest over pursuit, clarity over fantasy, mutuality over breadcrumbs, dignity over obsession. And if some part of you trembles as you hear that, that makes sense. The part that learned to survive through effort will be afraid of surrender. Be gentle with that part. Do not shame it. Thank it for trying to protect you. Then remind it that you are not abandoning life. You are abandoning the habit of forcing what does not freely meet you. That is the turning point, not a dramatic outer event, an inner decision. I will no longer measure my worth by how long I can endure what does not open. Say that to yourself in your own language. Let it land where you have been tired. Let it reach the places where you kept hoping effort would finally become belonging. And because healing work can get so serious so fast, let me offer you this little bit of kindness. If you have been trying to decode a closed door for 6 months, congratulations. And you may have accidentally taken a second job as a full-time emotional detective. The pay is terrible. The hours are worse. The dress code is mostly oversized. Hope and underslept eyes. You are allowed to retire. Gently, with benefits. The primary benefit being peace. Humor matters because it helps you breathe. And breathing matters because clarity rarely arrives in a clenched state. So when you notice yourself spiraling, see if you can soften instead of intensify. A hand on your heart, a slower exhale, a sentence like, "I do not need to solve this tonight." Or if it feels truer, "This door is not my whole life." Those small interruptions can keep you from reenacting the same old urgency. They create room for wisdom to return. Here is the deeper insight that often arrives after the first wave of relief. Better doors do not always look better at first, because you have been trained to associate love with labor. A healthier connection may feel quieter. A truer opportunity may feel less dramatic. A more aligned path may not trigger the same adrenaline. In the beginning, calm can even feel unfamiliar, almost suspicious. You might think, is this it? Where is the intensity? Where is the chase? Where is the ache that proves it matters? But that question comes from conditioning, not truth. Not everything meaningful arrives wrapped in struggle. Not everything worthy asks to be pursued like a fleeing train. Some things enter your life with steadiness, some things deepen through reciprocity, some things grow because there is room, not because there is resistance, and when you have spent a long time forcing, learning to trust what is calm can be its own form of healing. This is why the closing of the wrong door can be so sacred. It interrupts your addiction to proving. It reveals the places where you were negotiating against yourself. It shows you how much energy was trapped in pursuit. And once that energy is returned to you, you can build differently. You can create relationships where honesty is safer than performance. You can pursue work that stretches you without consuming you. You can make choices from wholeness instead of hunger. You can become someone who notices early when a door requires self-betrayal, and someone who leaves earlier than the old version of you ever could. That is growth, not never caring, not never grieving, not becoming untouchable. Growth is caring without collapsing, hoping without abandoning discernment, loving without kneeling at the altar of resistance. And yes, better doors may be opening, but even before they open, something better is already happening. You are becoming the kind of person who can recognize them. You are becoming less available for confusion, less seduced by scarcity, less willing to call pain a promise, more able to trust the information of peace. That changes the whole landscape. Because the real gift is not simply that another door exists. The real gift is that you no longer need every closed thing to define you. So when something does not open, take that moment not as an indictment, but as an invitation. Pause, sense, choose, ask what the struggle is asking from you. Ask whether you are being met or merely kept hoping. Ask whether this pursuit leaves you more anchored in yourself or farther away, then honor the answer with one kind, concrete action. You do not need to see the whole future to respect what your spirit already knows. You only need the courage to stop confusing persistence with self-neglect. And my love, once you stop pouring your life into what refuses you, you may be stunned by how much life returns. Your attention returns. Your appetite returns. Your creativity returns. Your standards return. Your softness returns, but this time with boundaries. Your hope returns, but this time with discernment. That is not the loss of love. That is the recovery of self-trust. So if this message is finding you while you are tired at some locked threshold, let it be a hand on your shoulder, not a shove. You do not have to make a dramatic decision tonight. You do not have to figure out every next step before you rest. You only have to stop treating your exhaustion as proof that you should keep pushing. Maybe the closed door has already done its sacred work. Maybe it showed you where you were still bargaining with your worth. Maybe it taught you the sound of your own strain. Maybe it brought you to the moment where you finally say, enough. Not in bitterness, not in defeat, in wisdom, in tenderness, in self-respect. And from that place, you may discover that life feels different very quickly. Not because every answer arrives, not because every ache disappears, but because you are no longer standing in worship of what withholds itself from you. You are turning toward what is honest, what is mutual, what is breathable, what is alive. That turn is everything. And while you wait for whatever opens next, there is a quiet practice worth keeping. Make your life hospitable to yourself. Drink the water. Return the call you have been avoiding because you were too consumed. Open the window. Eat the meal slowly. Finish the task in front of you. Sit in the morning light for 3 minutes without turning your pain into a project. These are not tiny things. They are signals. They tell your body, I am no longer abandoning you for the sake of a closed door. They tell your heart, we are still living here. They tell your future, there is someone home to receive what is meant to arrive. This is how renewal often begins, not with fireworks, with steadiness, with ordinary care, with the brave decision to stop feeding what starves you and start tending what sustains you. One truthful pause, one clean boundary on, evening not spent chasing, one morning not spent rehearsing. Again and again, these small returns become a new way of being. And the beautiful thing is that self-trust rarely crashes into your life. It gathers quietly, faithfully, until one day you notice that peace no longer feels unfamiliar. It feels like home. And home changes every decision you make next. If this landed somewhere deep in you, stay with that feeling. Let it settle. Let it name what you already knew but had not yet permitted yourself to say. And if you want to keep walking in this kind of clarity, stay close. There is more for you here. For now, remember this. A closed door is not always your failure. Sometimes it is life's merciful way of telling you that you were made for a room where you do not have to beg to belong.